camera's still turning off on me. So these are what those things are. God loved the family, and this is what you should be working to creating. Shouldn't be out there having sex with everything you can touch, because obviously everybody who does that is miserable. There's not many people that you'll run into that, yeah, they'll talk about it because it's cool, but deep down inside, it's not something that is actually fulfilling anything in their lives. You're still usually broken, you're still usually empty, and until you find that person that you love, that person that you care for, you're never, and when you obviously snap yourself out of it, you're never going to find that true happiness that we all can obviously get to. So that's my conspiracy on it. It was created by the Democrats, just like the KKK, just like the slavery, and they're using this as a way to destroy the Hispanic and black populations. Done with that. Let's move on. And get to just basic life. Because that's the conspiracy, that's the racism, that's what real racism is. Not a bunch of Republicans saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't be killing off our entire population and then importing millions of people when we could just, have children here, smart, and give them good education. That's the other thing, the destruction of the education system, the destruction of the food system. We have no farms, people don't create farms. You'll go to the store to buy it and it usually comes in from China. All of these things you have to think about when you're going over these things. They all connect. All of it is connected. So let's start this again. On Tuesday, Republican-controlled Alabama state legislature passed a measure that would ban abortion, with the exception of when the life of the mother is in jeopardy, in all circumstances. The state's Republican governor, so they obviously have to say that to make everybody get, oh my God, it's the racist Republicans, it's the racist Republicans, Kay Ivey, it's a white lady. I thought genders were, I thought we couldn't talk genders anymore, but who knows? Maybe all those Republicans identify as women. Who knows? Signed in on Wednesday, meaning two things will happen. One, Alabama will become the state with the country's most restrictive abortion law. And number two, the law will immediately become fodder for the swirling debate over if and when the Supreme Court might consider overturning the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling. That too prolonged goal was clearly the intent of the bill's sponsor, State Rep Terry Collins, who said after the vote, this bill is about challenging Roe v. Wade and protecting the lives of the unborn, because an unborn baby is a person who deserves love and protection. Who disagrees with that? Who disagrees with the fact that an unborn baby deserves love and protection? Let's go over. By the time an unborn child is 18 days, a baby heart beats. 42 days, brain waves are detected. 52 days, a baby hiccups and yawns. At 8 weeks, all organs are functioning. At 9 weeks, the baby has fingerprints. At 10 weeks, it can feel pain. And at 12 weeks, it can smile. So why would we allow late-term abortions? Which was, remember, the New York passed a law saying that a baby can be killed up into the day of abortions. Nobody agreed with that. Right? So you have that extreme. No one agrees with that. You have this extreme where a small portion of the population don't agree with it. They're not as big as they think. Most people don't want to kill babies. It's not something that most people want to do. Again, if the life of the woman is in jeopardy, I agree with it. We should look into it and deal with it at that case. But the fact that we are killing babies after they can kick and all these things is quite absurd. But let's continue here. It quite clearly will challenge the ruling, since prohibiting abortion in all but one case seems to directly come into conflict with the Supreme Court's finding that it is against the law to place an undue burden on a woman seeking an abortion before a viable fetus. So maybe we should go back to when sex was something that you did with your partner, the one that you loved and cared for. Is that something that should be discussed? Because I know a lot of women out there that regret the lives that they've lived. I know there are women out there that regret the nights of drinking and being around men that they had no business being around. I know plenty of them. So maybe the discussion should be, hey, maybe you shouldn't be going around having sex or drinking at parties and stuff like that because guys are out of control. Oh, but you shouldn't be able to control us and we should be safe. Well, that's not the reality, which is why the punishment for rape and stuff like that should be a lot more severe than what they've made it. Again, the Democrats and part Republicans, because we've caught these individuals doing these things to women too. The most powerful man in New York at one point, Eric Schneiderman, was apparently abusing 3 Hispanic women and making sure that they called him slave master. You notice how that guy has disappeared from the spotlight, right? He resigned and disappeared because he doesn't want to go to jail. He wants to keep living his life. He wants to keep raping and beating women. Democrat who supported all Democrats in New York, and they supported him. So maybe the conversation should be returned to God and finding the person that you love to have children with, and then having sex and babies at that point. Not just going around getting knocked up by random men and then saying, oh, well, I don't want the baby, let's just go ahead and kill it. You see how society would start to heal at that point? You see how the rape cases would go down substantially? I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe that's a part of the conversation. And while the Alabama law is the strictest in the nation, and therefore most at odds with established federal law, it is far from the only piece of abortion legislation that seeks to push the boundaries of Roe. Last month, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed a so-called fetal heartbeat law, which bans abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected, which can come as early as 6 weeks. A time when some women may still not even know they are pregnant. So week 4 is when most women realize that they're pregnant. And if you're having sex, maybe that's something that you should be on top of. How about self-accountability, self-respect, basically? Of knowing your body and knowing what you're doing. If you're out on these streets getting slayed, sorry for saying it that way, but that's what some women are involved in, which is why the abortions have been so ridiculously high. Some women are out there with several abortions. And I'm not, look, if you've had an abortion, I'm not getting on you for that. That is a part of our society. That is a part of the destruction of the family and the mind. So I'm not saying you're a bad person. I am saying that you should realize that this is probably why you feel the way that you feel. This is why you have problems in your life. And then you're out there killing your firstborn child. It's something to consider. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe someone hears it and makes a better decision with their life. I'm not saying that you're a terrible person. I think the people that are running it are absolutely horrific individuals. Hillary Clinton and these people are not good people. They've been going around blowing up countries for years. So when you take into account all of this stuff, the destruction of the family, the destruction of God, the destruction of the female, the destruction of the male, the father and mother figures, and why kids are so bad and why they're out there partying and drinking and getting raped, not that it should be happening. I understand that. I'm just speaking, through the motions here. I'm trying to get people to understand the way that the society has been destroyed and giving a reason for that. So, these laws will almost immediately be appealed and will join a growing list of cases that could arrive at the doorstep of the Supreme Court in the not too distant future. The court is poised in upcoming months to consider hearing a challenge to a Louisiana law that would force doctors to have admitting privileges at the hospital within 30 miles of where an abortion is performed. Anyway, this is just going to continue babbling, as CNN always does. And they're going to get into how the court is now right-wing and full of racists. Again, you cannot have the thought in your head that racist white men are trying to control women because they don't want them murdering their babies. Because the people most affected by that are blacks and Hispanics. You understand that? Can we all agree on that one thing? That this is not a racism thing? It's so stupid. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I do not want to talk down to anyone because I want everybody to listen and be a part of the discussion, which is the free speech thing again. But let's all agree that when 20 million black and Hispanic babies equally, 20 million black, 20 million Hispanics, and I can't even count how many white because I can't find the statistics. Maybe I'm not digging, hard enough. Maybe it's out there. How many white babies have been killed by abortions? Yeah, no, I can't. It's only black and Hispanic, which is, again, fucking so ridiculous. Because white people aren't affected by anything. Maybe we can all agree that the Republicans aren't doing this for racism reasons. If they were doing this for racism reasons, they'd be right on board. Right on board. I think it's the Democrats who are still the racist party and always have been. Up until, slavery, KKK party, and then after that they had to switch up their game and then gave us abortions and said it was the Republicans who are the racist ones. Same thing they did with Trump, and it's obviously not working because jobs, everybody's eating, everybody's doing much better, all people. So, we're just going to leave it at that. Maybe I'll have more videos down to... Shut up again. So, maybe if I, from the beginning, didn't put myself in these situations, I wouldn't have had to have abortion. I wouldn't have been raped. I wouldn't have been abused by guys that I had no business being around. And think about the way that would start to help and heal society over time without having so many broken women and so many weak men. That's a part of making stricter laws as far as the punishment for these things go. Castration, a lot longer prison sentences, and definitely not letting anyone walk free. So, that's the abortion talk right now. We'll see where it goes.